Commander Veltar pressed his long fingers against the cool surface of his monitoring station. His large, dark eyes reflected the soft blue glow of the screens that surrounded him. For over 200 years, he had watched the empty spaces between stars, waiting for something interesting to happen. Today was different. Today, the sensors had found something amazing. The signals came from a small planet in what the galactic maps called System Sol 3. The world was tiny compared to most civilized planets, sitting close to a yellow star that burned with steady, gentle light. What made Veltar excited was not the planet itself, but the radio waves coming from its surface. Computer analyzed the signal patterns again, Veltar said in his soft, musical voice. The ship's computer hummed quietly before responding. The signals show organized patterns, mathematical sequences, artistic expressions, and complex social communications. The species appears to have recently developed electromagnetic broadcasting technology. Veltar's heart raced with excitement. This was exactly what the Zephyrian Council had been searching for. A young species just beginning to reach out into space with their primitive radio signals. Perfect candidates for joining the galactic community. He quickly opened a communication channel to the council chambers. Within moments, the wise faces of 12 different alien species appeared on his screen. Each one represented a different world that had joined their peaceful alliance over the past 1,000 years. Honored council members, Veltar began, trying to keep the excitement out of his voice. I have discovered a new species. They call themselves humans, and they appear to be in the early stages of technological development. Elder Kethril, the crystal-skinned ambassador from Zephyr Prime, leaned forward with interest. His translucent features caught the light beautifully. As he spoke, "Show us what you have learned, Commander." Veltar activated the holographic display in the center of the council chamber. Images and sounds from Earth filled the space between them. Music played from human radio stations. Pictures showed their cities, their art, and their simple machines. The council members watched with growing interest. They have developed basic mathematics, Veltar explained, as he showed examples of human engineering. They understand chemistry and physics at a fundamental level. Most importantly, they have begun to wonder about life beyond their own world. The council members nodded approvingly. This was the standard pattern they looked for in new species. Young civilizations that had just begun to understand science were the easiest to guide toward peaceful enlightenment. "What about their planet?" asked Counselor Rex, whose blue scales shimmered as she spoke. "Is it suitable for our standard integration protocols?" Veltar pulled up the planetary data. System Sol 3 appears to be a Class M world. Moderate climate, abundant water, rich plant life. The gravity is slightly higher than average, but well within acceptable ranges. The humans seem to have adapted well to their environment. Elder Kethril studied the images carefully. They appear to be a peaceful species. I see evidence of art, music, and organized societies. Have you detected any signs of major warfare or aggression? Some minor conflicts, Veltar admitted. But nothing beyond the normal growing pains of a developing civilization. Their radio signals include entertainment programs, educational content, and cultural exchanges. They seem curious about the universe around them. The council spent several hours reviewing all the data Veltar had collected. They saw humans playing music, creating beautiful paintings, and caring for their young. They watched as humans built monuments to peace and worked together to solve problems. Everything suggested a species ready to join the galactic community. "I believe we should extend an invitation," declared Elder Kethril after the discussion had ended. "This species shows all the signs of being ready for peaceful integration. They have the curiosity to learn and the social development to appreciate our guidance." The vote was unanimous. All 12 council members agreed that humanity deserved a chance to join their alliance of peaceful worlds. Far below on the surface of Earth, Captain Jake Morrison sat in his small monitoring station on the dark side of Luna. The room was cramped and filled with a constant hum of electronics. Jake had volunteered for this lonely assignment because he believed someone needed to watch the sky. His government had built this station to look for incoming asteroids, but Jake secretly hoped to find something more interesting. For 3 days, His instruments had been picking up an unusual energy signature approaching from deep space. The readings were unlike anything he had ever seen. Whatever was coming toward Earth was massive and moving faster than any natural object should. Jake rubbed his tired eyes and looked at the data again. The object was definitely artificial. It was under intelligent control, and it was headed directly for Earth. His hand shook slightly as he reached for the communication console. "Houston Control, this is Luna Station 7, Jake said into his microphone. "I have an unidentified object approaching Earth orbit. Request immediate contact with Space Defense Command." Within an hour, every major government on Earth knew about the approaching object. Scientists and military leaders gathered in emergency meetings. Phones rang in the offices of world leaders. Humanity's first contact with alien life was about to begin. Dr. Lisa Carter received the call while she was teaching a biology class at the university. She had spent her entire career studying the possibility of extraterrestrial life, but she never expected it to happen during her lifetime. When the government car arrived to take her to the emergency briefing, her students watched in amazement as their professor was whisked away on a matter of national security. The briefing room was filled with the most important people Lisa had ever seen in one place. Military generals sat next to Nobel Prize-winning scientists. Diplomats spoke quietly with space program directors. Everyone looked nervous and excited at the same time. "Ladies and gentlemen," announced Director Paul Grant of the Space Defense Initiative. 3 hours ago, we detected a large artificial object entering our solar system. Based on its trajectory and energy signatures, we believe it represents our first contact with extraterrestrial intelligence. The room erupted in excited whispers. Lisa felt her heart pounding as she realized she was about to be part of the most important moment in human history. "Dr. Carter," Director Grant continued, "we need your expertise in xenobiology. Whatever's on that ship, we need to understand how to communicate with them safely." Lisa nodded, trying to appear calm even though her mind was racing. She had written dozens of papers about what alien life might look like. But now she was going to find out if any of her theories were correct. 2 days later, the alien ship arrived in Earth orbit. It was beautiful beyond anything humans had imagined. The vessel looked like it had been grown rather than built, with smooth curves and surfaces that seemed to glow with their own inner light. It was larger than any structure humans had ever created. The ship sent a message to Earth in perfect English. The voice was gentle and melodic, speaking words that filled humans with hope and wonder. "Greetings, people of Earth. We are the Zephyrian Council, representatives of the galactic community. We have traveled far to welcome you to the family of civilized worlds. Come in peace, offering friendship, knowledge, and a place among the stars. We request permission to meet with your leaders so that we may begin this joyous partnership." Jake Morrison stared at his monitors in amazement. After years of watching empty space, he had become the first human to witness humanity's introduction to a vast galactic civilization. He smiled as he realized that Earth's children were no longer alone in the universe. Neither he nor anyone else on Earth suspected that they were about to discover something that would terrify the galaxy. The Harmony's edge hung in Earth's orbit like a jewel against the black of space. Ambassador Kethril stood in the ship's grand reception hall, adjusting his ceremonial robes for the third time. His crystalline skin caught the soft light from the walls, creating patterns of rainbow colors across his tall, graceful form. Everything had to be perfect for humanity's first step into the galactic community. Kethril had conducted 47 first contact ceremonies during his long career. Each one followed the same peaceful pattern. The new species would arrive in their primitive ships, amazed by alien technology. They would listen with wonder as he explained the benefits of joining the galactic community. They would gratefully accept the gifts of knowledge and technology. Then they would return to their world to prepare their people for a bright future among the stars. Today should be no different. The humans seemed like a typical developing species. Their small shuttlecraft approaching the Harmony's edge looked exactly like the basic chemical-powered vehicles most young civilizations used for their first space flights. Kethril smiled as he watched it dock with his ship. Soon another world would join their peaceful alliance, Captain Jake Morrison stepped through the airlock and immediately felt dizzy. The artificial gravity on the alien ship was lighter than Earth normal, making him feel like he might float away. Behind him came Dr. Lisa Carter, carrying her portable laboratory equipment, and General Robert Hayes, who kept looking around with the sharp eyes of a career military officer. "Welcome aboard the Harmony's Edge," Kethrel said in perfect English. His voice was musical and warm. "I am Ambassador Kethrel of the Zephyrian Council. We are honored to meet the representatives of humanity." Jake shook the alien's hand carefully. Kethrel's skin felt like smooth glass, warm, but somehow fragile. "Thank you for having us, Ambassador. We're excited to learn about your galactic community." As they walked through the ship's corridors, the humans marveled at everything they saw. The walls seemed to glow with their own light. Plants from dozens of different worlds grew in perfect harmony in the ship's gardens. Crew members from various alien species moved gracefully through wide hallways, all working together in peaceful cooperation. "Your ship is incredible," Dr. Carter said, scanning everything with her instruments. "The technology is far beyond anything we imagined possible." Kethrel's chest swelled with pride. "The Harmony's Edge represents the best achievements of our allied worlds working together. When species join our community, they share their knowledge freely. Together, we have created wonders that no single world could achieve alone." The ambassador led them to a large chamber filled with holographic displays. "Please, sit and be comfortable. I would like to show you the history of our galactic community." The lights dimmed and the room filled with three-dimensional images. The humans watched in amazement as the story of galactic civilization unfolded before them. Beautiful worlds connected by shining trade routes. Species working together to solve problems and explore the universe. Scientific discoveries shared freely among all member worlds. "For over 1,000 years, we have been building this community," Kethrel explained. "Each new species brings unique gifts: art, science, philosophy, culture. Together, we have eliminated war, poverty, and suffering from dozens of worlds." The holographic display showed peaceful first contact ceremonies just like the one happening now, young species welcomed into the galactic family. Primitive worlds transformed into paradises of peace and prosperity. General Hayes leaned forward in his chair. "This all looks wonderful, Ambassador. But I have to ask, what happens if a species doesn't want to join your community?" Kethrel paused for a moment, surprised by the question. "I do not understand. Why would any species choose to remain isolated when they could have peace and prosperity?" "But surely some species have said no," Dr. Carter added. "What happens then?" "Well," Kethrel said slowly, "occasionally a species requires more time to understand the benefits we offer. In such cases, we provide economic incentives and educational opportunities until they are ready to join us willingly." Jake noticed how the ambassador's words didn't really answer the question. "What kind of economic incentives?" "Trade restrictions, mostly. Resource limitations. We find that most species become more reasonable when they understand the consequences of isolation." Kethrel seemed uncomfortable with the direction of the conversation. General Hayes and Dr. Carter exchanged a look that Kethrel didn't understand. "So you force them to join by making life difficult if they refuse?" "Not force," Kethrel said quickly. "We simply help them understand that cooperation is better than isolation. Eventually, all species see the wisdom of joining our peaceful community." The ambassador tried to change the subject by showing more pleasant images of galactic civilization. But the humans kept asking uncomfortable questions. They wanted to know about the military capabilities of council ships. They asked about defense, systems, and weapon technologies. They inquired about the location of key systems and trade routes. "Why do you need to know about such things?" Kethrel finally asked. "We are a peaceful community. Military matters are not relevant to civilized species." "Because we're not the first species you've contacted," Captain Morrison said quietly. "And something tells me not everyone joined voluntarily." While the men continued their conversation, Dr. Carter had been quietly scanning the alien crew members with her medical instruments. What she discovered made her blood run cold. Several crew members showed signs of surgical modification. Their brain patterns indicated chemical alterations to their thinking processes. Some showed evidence of genetic changes that looked deliberate and artificial. During a break in the presentation, Dr. Carter pulled her teammates aside. "We need to talk privately," she whispered, in the small chamber the aliens had provided for them. Dr. Carter shared her findings. "The crew members I scanned aren't volunteers. They've been modified. Brain surgery, chemical conditioning, genetic alterations. Someone has been changing these people to make them more compliant." General Hayes felt a chill run down his spine. "So this peaceful galactic community uses mind control to keep its members in line." "It looks that way," Dr. Carter said. "And I bet those economic incentives the ambassador mentioned are a lot more serious than he made them sound." Jake stared at the wall, processing what they had learned. "So we're dealing with a galactic empire that disguises itself as a peaceful alliance. They probably target young species like us because we're easier to control. The question is, General," Hayes said grimly, "what do we do about it?" When they returned to the presentation chamber, the humans' behavior had changed completely. They still smiled and asked questions, but now they were gathering intelligence rather than simply learning about alien culture. They wanted to know how many ships the Council had. They asked about the locations of their bases and the strength of their military forces. Kethrel began to feel nervous. The humans were asking the kinds of questions that suggested they might be planning something other than peaceful cooperation. But that was impossible. All developing species wanted to join the galactic community once they understood the benefits. "I hope we haven't overwhelmed you with too much information," Kethrel said as the presentation ended. "Perhaps you would like to return to your world to discuss what you have learned with your leaders." "That's a good idea," Jake agreed. "We definitely need to share this information with our people." As the human delegation prepared to leave, Kethrel felt relieved. Despite their strange questions, they seemed to be following the normal pattern. They would return to Earth, discuss the benefits of galactic membership, and soon request to join the Council. But as he watched their small shuttle depart, Kethrel couldn't shake the feeling that something was different about these humans. They had looked at his beautiful ship and advanced technology with appreciation, but not the awe he expected. They had listened to his presentation about galactic civilization with interest, but not the eager hunger for membership he usually saw. Most disturbing of all, when he had shown them the power and reach of the galactic community, they had not seemed impressed or intimidated. Instead, they had seemed to be taking notes. Ambassador Kethrel felt better after 3 days of rest. The strange questions from the human delegation had worried him, but he decided they were just the normal curiosity of a developing species. Now it was time for the next step in the standard first contact process. Captain Morrison Kethrel said during their morning communication, "The Council requires a complete survey of your world before we can offer full membership. This is standard procedure for all new species." Jake's voice came through the communication system with surprising enthusiasm. "That sounds fine, Ambassador. We'd be happy to show you around Earth, but we insist that our people guide the survey. We want to make sure you see everything our world has to offer." Kethrel agreed readily. Most species were eager to show off their best features during the survey process. He selected his finest science team for the mission. Dr. Zixtel, the Council's chief biologist, Commander Polron, an expert in planetary geology, and Science Officer Neelay, who specialized in atmospheric analysis. The 3 aliens climbed aboard their sleek survey shuttle and descended toward Earth's surface. They had reviewed the planetary data carefully. Earth appeared to be a pleasant classroom world with moderate gravity, comfortable temperatures, and abundant plant life. It's a perfect home for a peaceful species ready to join galactic civilization. Shuttle landed at a facility the humans called Edwards Air Force Base. As the airlock opened, the alien survey team stepped onto the surface of Earth for the first time. Dr. Zixtel immediately stumbled and fell to his knees. The gravity was crushing. His elegant legs, perfectly adapted to the gentle pull of his homeworld, could barely support his weight under Earth's heavy gravitational field. "The gravity readings were wrong," he gasped, struggling to stand. "This is nearly twice standard galactic normal." Commander Polron activated her support exoskeleton, metal braces extending. from her backpack to help her legs carry her weight. How do the humans move so easily in this crushing environment? Dr. Lisa Carter approached with a warm smile, walking normally despite the gravity that was crippling the aliens. Welcome to Earth. Are you feeling all right? You look a bit tired. Gravity, Dr. Zixtel managed to say, it's so heavy. Dr. Carter looked genuinely surprised. Really? This is normal for us. Actually, this is a pretty light gravity area. I chose this location because it's easier than some places on our planet. Science. Officer Nellie He checked her atmospheric readings again, certain there must be an error. The oxygen concentration is toxic. How are you breathing this poison without protective equipment? Poison? Dr. Carter laughed. This is just regular air. Would you like me to show you some of our local wildlife? I think you'll find Earth's ecosystem fascinating. The alien survey team followed Dr. Carter across the base, their mechanical supports whining under the strain of Earth's gravity. She led them to a small building that she called the Natural History Center. This is just a basic overview of life on our planet, Dr. Carter explained as she opened the door inside. The aliens found themselves face to face with nightmare creatures beyond their imagination. The skeleton of a Tyrannosaurus Rex loomed. Over them, its massive skull filled with teeth like daggers. Nearby stood the remains of other dinosaurs, each one built for killing and destruction. These magnificent animals lived on Earth about 65 million years ago, Dr. Carter said cheerfully. They were just one group among many. Earth has had 5 major extinction events, and life has bounced back stronger each time. Dr. Zixtel stared at the fossilized predators in horror. Your planet regularly kills most of its life forms? Oh yes, Dr. Carter nodded. Asteroid impacts, volcanic eruptions, ice ages, climate shifts. Life on Earth has to be tough to survive. It's probably why our current species are so adaptable. She led them to another display showing modern Earth animals. The aliens watched in growing terror as Dr. Carter explained how various creatures survived. Bears that could crush bones with their jaws. Sharks that had remained unchanged for millions of years because they were already perfect killing machines. Tiny insects that could dissolve flesh with acid. And humans live alongside these monsters? Commander Polrin asked weakly. Live alongside them? Dr. Carter seemed confused. We've conquered most of them. Humans are the dominant predator on Earth. We've eliminated the competition and domesticated the useful species. Science Officer Nelhai checked her readings again. According to my instruments, many of the plants here produce compounds that would be deadly poison to most galactic species. Really? Dr. Carter picked a flower from a nearby garden and handed it to Nalehi. This is just a simple daisy, completely harmless. Nalehi's scanner immediately began screaming warnings. The innocent-looking flower contained 7 different chemicals that would cause organ failure in her species. You might want to be careful what you touch, Dr. Carter added helpfully. Some of our plants can be dangerous if you're not used to them. This little fellow here, she pointed to an attractive red plant, can kill you just by touching it. And this beautiful mushroom will shut down your nervous system if you eat it. The aliens backed away from the garden in terror. They were surrounded by casual death, disguised as natural beauty. Perhaps we should see some examples of human civilization, Dr. Zixtel suggested desperately. Your cities, your technology, your cultural achievements. Dr. Carter brightened. Great idea. Let me introduce you to some of our local residents. A small human child came running toward them, her face bright with excitement. Amy Peterson had been told that real aliens were visiting Earth, and she wanted to meet them. Are you really from space? Amy asked, bouncing on her toes with energy that made the aliens dizzy just watching. Yes, little one, Dr. Zixtel said gently. Even facing the horrors of this death world, he still found human children adorable. Amy reached out to touch his crystalline arm. Oh, you're so pretty, but you look really tired. Are you sick? The gravity on your world is very strong, Dr. Zixtel explained. It makes us feel weak. Amy's face scrunched up in confusion. But gravity is easy. Watch this. The 8-year-old proceeded to demonstrate a cartwheel, flipping her body through the crushing gravitational field as if it were nothing. Then she did a handstand, supporting her entire weight on her small arms. "I can also do backflips," Amy announced proudly, "and I'm not even strong yet. My big brother can lift a whole car." The aliens stared at this tiny human child who was casually performing feats that would be impossible for trained athletes from their worlds. If this was what human children could do, what were the adults capable of? "Amy, don't show off too much," Dr. Carter said with a smile. "You might scare our visitors." "Scare them?" Amy looked confused. "But they're grown-ups." "Grown-ups aren't scared of anything," Commander Polron's voice was barely a whisper. "Dr. Carter, exactly how strong are adult humans compared to your children?" Dr. Carter thought for a moment. "Well, Amy here probably weighs about 50 pounds. An average adult human male weighs around 180 pounds and can easily lift objects weighing as much as he does. Some of our athletes can lift much more." She paused, noticing how pale the aliens had become. "Is something wrong?" "You all look very upset." Science Officer Nella He was frantically checking her scanner readings. According to every measurement, they were standing on a world where the gravity would crush most galactic species. The air was poisonous, the plants were toxic, the animals were killing machines. And the dominant species was a group of super predators who considered this hellish environment normal. "Dr. Carter," Nella He said slowly, "exactly what do humans consider a dangerous planet?" Dr. Carter laughed. "Well, there's Venus. The surface temperature is hot enough to melt lead, and it rains acid. That would definitely be dangerous. And Jupiter's moons are pretty hostile. Radiation that would kill you instantly. No breathable atmosphere, temperatures that would freeze you solid." The aliens realized with growing horror that humans casually lived on a world that most galactic species would classify as a nightmare death world, and they thought it was perfectly normal, back on the Harmony's edge. Commander Veltar received an emergency transmission from the survey team. Their message was simple but terrifying. "Abort mission immediately. Request emergency evacuation. We have made contact with Apex Deathworld predators." For the first time in his 200 years of service, Veltar felt true fear. Commander Veltar stared at the emergency message from his survey team with growing panic. In all his years of monitoring primitive civilizations, he had never received a report like this. He immediately opened a priority communication channel to the Zephyrian Council chambers. "Honored council members," Veltar said, his voice shaking slightly, "we have a serious problem with the human species." Elder Kethrel's crystalline features reflected his confusion. "What kind of problem, Commander? Are they refusing to cooperate with the survey?" "No, sir. The problem is much worse. According to our science team, humans are apex predators from a Class 12 death world. They should never have been considered for peaceful integration." The council chamber fell completely silent. A Class 12 death world was the highest danger rating in the Galactic database. Only 3 such worlds had ever been discovered, and all of them had been marked as forbidden zones, where no civilized species should ever travel. "That's impossible," declared Counselor Rex, her blue scales darkening with concern. "We reviewed the planetary data carefully. Earth appeared to be a standard Classum world with gentle conditions." Veltar transmitted the real-time readings from his survey team. "The gravity is nearly twice galactic standard. The atmospheric composition includes gases that are toxic to most species. The planet's ecosystem is filled with predators that our scientists classify as walking death machines." The council members watched in horror as data from Earth filled their screens. Temperature ranges that would kill most galactic citizens. Plants that produced deadly poisons as a natural defense. Animals with capabilities that defied understanding. "How did we miss this?" Elder Kethrel asked weakly. "The humans altered their transmissions," Veltar explained. "They only brought information about their gentler regions. We never saw data from their extreme environments. We didn't realize that humans considered deadly conditions to be normal." Down on Earth's surface, the cultural exchange was continuing despite the aliens. Growing terror. Captain Morrison had arranged what he called a typical human gathering to show off their civilization. The aliens found themselves sitting in something humans called a backyard barbecue. Dr. Zixtel watched in fascination and horror as humans casually gathered around controlled fire. They had tamed flames so completely that they used it for recreation. Cooking food over burning wood while laughing and talking as if sitting next to a deadly inferno was perfectly normal. "This is how we prepare most of our food," Captain Morrison explained cheerfully, flipping meat over the flames. "Humans discovered fire about 1,000,000 years ago, and we've been using it ever since." "You cook your food with fire, science officer?" Nalihi asked weakly. "Well, sure. Raw meat can carry diseases. Cooking it makes it safe to eat." Morrison noticed how pale the aliens looked. "Are you feeling all right? You look a little green." Commander Polron was studying her scanner readings. With growing disbelief, "Captain Morrison, according to my instruments, the food you are preparing contains proteins that would be toxic to most galactic species." "Really?" Morrison looked genuinely interested. "Huh. I guess different species have different dietary needs. Humans can eat pretty much anything organic. Meat, plants, fungi, even some things that are technically poisonous if you prepare them right." Dr. Carter joined the conversation, carrying a plate of what she called snacks. "Would you like to try some of our local cuisine? This is chocolate. It's made from a plant that's actually poisonous to some earth animals, but humans love it." The aliens backed away from the offered food as if it were radioactive. The situation got worse when General Hayes arrived with examples of what he called human recreational activities. He had brought equipment for something called American football and wanted to demonstrate human sports. "Sports are a great way to understand human culture," General Hayes explained as he showed them the protective armor players wore. "This gear protects players when they collide at high speeds." Dr. Zixtel examined the football helmet with confusion. Why would humans deliberately collide with each other? "For fun," Hayes said simply. "Two teams try to carry this ball across the field, while the other team tries to stop them. It builds teamwork and physical fitness." The aliens watched in stunned silence as General Hayes showed them videos of football games. Humans in armor deliberately crashed into each other with enough force to shatter the bones of most galactic species, and they called it entertainment. "This is just one of many sports humans enjoy," Hayes continued. "We also have boxing, where two people punch each other until one falls down. Wrestling, where people try to pin each other to the ground. Hockey, where people hit a small disc with sticks while sliding on frozen water." Science Officer Nell High was frantically taking notes. Every human activity seemed designed to cause injury or death, yet humans participated willingly and appeared to enjoy themselves. "General Hayes," she asked carefully, "what do humans do for dangerous activities?" Hayes thought for a moment. "Well, there's mountain climbing in extreme weather. Deep sea diving, where the pressure would crush you instantly if your equipment failed. Skydiving, where you jump out of aircraft and fall toward the ground at terminal velocity. Some people like to surf on ocean waves during storms." The aliens realized that humans considered life-threatening activities to be recreational fun. Back in orbit, the emergency council session was growing more desperate by the hour. Reports from the survey team painted an increasingly terrifying picture of humanity. "They have survived multiple planetary extinction events," Dr. Zixtel reported. "Asteroid impacts that would sterilize most worlds, volcanic eruptions that blocked out their sun for years, ice ages that froze most of their planet's surface. And each time, they not only survived, but became stronger." Elder Kethrel felt sick. "What about their evolution? Surely they developed as a peaceful species." "No, sir. Humans evolved as persistent hunters. They would chase prey animals across vast distances until the animals collapsed from exhaustion. They outcompeted every other intelligent species on their planet. They're the only survivors of their evolutionary branch." The council members looked at each other in growing panic. They had accidentally invited the galaxy's most dangerous predators to join their peaceful community. "There's more, Commander," Polron added. "Human history shows constant warfare between their own tribes. They have spent thousands of years developing increasingly efficient ways to kill each other. Even their peaceful periods are just preparation for the next conflict." Counselor Rex was studying human military records with growing alarm. They have weapons capable of destroying their entire planet, and they built hundreds of them.
How wet?
Kind of species creates the tools of their own extinction. The kind that isn't afraid of anything, Veltar said quietly. The worst news came when Science Officer Nellie Hay reported on human physical capabilities. A human child demonstrated gravitational resistance that would be impossible for our finest athletes. If their children possess such abilities, adult humans must be incredibly powerful. Elder Kethril made the decision that would change galactic history. Issue an immediate recall order for all Council personnel on or near Earth. Classify humanity as a class of galactic threat. Prepare defensive positions around all major Council worlds. Sir, Veltar asked hesitantly, what about the standard integration protocols? Should we offer them technology in exchange for remaining in their system? Kethril looked at the data streaming in from Earth. Humans who considered Deathworld conditions normal. Predators who had eliminated all competition on their planet. Species that used planet-killing weapons for recreation and called controlled. Explosions? Fireworks? Commander Kethril said slowly. I don't think we have anything they want. I'm terrified to find out what they might take. The galaxy's greatest mistake was about to learn that some species couldn't be controlled, threatened, or intimidated. Some species had to be negotiated with as equals, and humanity was about to teach the Council what that really meant. The emergency Council session had been running for 6 straight days. Representatives from all 12 member worlds argued loudly about what to do with humanity. The great chamber that usually echoed with peaceful discussions now buzzed with fear and angry voices. We must strike first, declared General Vorth of the Crimson Fleet. His red armor gleamed under the chamber lights as he pounded, his fist on the table. These Deathworlders are too dangerous to leave unchecked. One surgical attack while they're still confined to their single planet. Elder Kethril's crystalline features flickered with doubt. We have never attacked a developing species. It goes against everything the Council stands for. The Council stands for peace and order, Counselor Rex snapped, her blue scales darkening with stress. How can we have peace when predators like humans exist? They'll spread across the galaxy like a plague. Perhaps we could offer them advanced technology in exchange for staying in their own system, suggested Dr. Yelenos from the Science Division. Build a containment field around their solar system. Keep them trapped but comfortable. Commander Veltar shook his head. You don't understand. These are apex predators from a Class 12 death world. They don't want comfort. They want challenges. Trapping them will only make them angry. The debate continued for hours with no resolution. Some council members wanted to destroy humanity before they became a threat. Others suggested hiding and hoping the humans would never develop space travel. A few even proposed surrendering immediately and hoping for mercy. Nobody expected what actually happened. On the 7th day of the emergency session, Captain Morrison's voice came through the communication system with a simple request. Ambassador Kethril, could we schedule another meeting? We've had time to think about your offer, and we'd like to discuss membership in the galactic community. The council chamber fell silent. After days of panic and fear, the humans were asking for another peaceful meeting. Do they know we've discovered their true nature? Whispered Counselor Rex. Unknown, Veltar replied. They might still think we believe they're a harmless species. Elder Kethril made a decision that surprised everyone. Schedule the meeting. But this time, we tell them the truth. 3 hours later, the human delegation returned to the Harmony's edge. Captain Morrison. Dr. Carter and General Hayes walked into the reception chamber with the same friendly smiles they had worn during Durin. Their first visit, but Kethril noticed something different about them. They moved with a confidence they hadn't shown before. Thank you for agreeing to see us again, Captain Morrison said as he shook Kethril's hand. We've been discussing your galactic community with our leaders, and we have some questions. Kethril decided to be direct. Before we begin, I must tell you something important. We know what you are. Dr. Carter tilted her head with curiosity. What do you mean? We know that Earth is a death world. We know that humans are apex predators. Our survey team barely survived their visit to your planet. Kethril watched carefully for the human's reaction. Captain Morrison looked genuinely surprised. Is that why your people seemed so scared? We thought maybe they were just tired from the gravity. Scared? Kethril blinked in confusion. Yes, they were terrified. Your world is one of the most dangerous places in the known galaxy. Your species should be classified as a major galactic threat. General Hayes leaned back in his chair. Dangerous to who? The question hung in the air like a challenge. Kethril found himself struggling to answer. To everyone, he finally said. To all peaceful species. To the established order. To civilization itself. Dr. Carter's expression grew serious. Ambassador, let me ask you something. When your survey team was on Earth, did any human threaten them? Did anyone try to hurt them or take their equipment? Well, no, Kethril admitted. But our capabilities don't define. Our intentions? Captain Morrison interrupted. Just because we can do something doesn't mean we will do it, as humans are strong. Yes, we come from a dangerous world, but that doesn't make us evil. General Hayes pulled out a tablet and placed it on the table. We've done some research. Of our own, Ambassador, about your galactic community and how it really works. Kethril felt a chill run down his spine as Hayes activated the tablet. Images appeared showing Council military actions, economic blockades, and forced compliance operations. The Altair system, Dr. Carter said, pointing to one of the images. Refused to join your community 15 years ago. You cut off all trade. Routes to their worlds? Half their population starved before they agreed to membership. The vegan colonies, Captain Morrison added. Tried to leave the Council 8 years ago. Your fleet blockaded their system until they changed their minds. The Proxima settlements, General Hayes finished. They're still under Council control. But our intelligence suggests their original government was replaced with people more willing to cooperate. Kethril felt his world crumbling around him. How did you learn about these incidents? That information is classified. We're good at gathering information, Captain Morrison said simply. The question is, what kind of galactic community are you really running here? Dr. Carter leaned forward. What we can tell, you find young species like us and invite them. To join your peaceful alliance? If they refuse, you make their lives miserable until they have no choice but to agree. If they try to leave later, you force them to stay. That's not a community, Ambassador. That's an empire. But we bring peace, Kethril protested weakly. We end wars, provide technology, eliminate suffering. Fought by eliminating choice, General. Hayes said firmly. You create peace by destroying anyone who might disturb it. You end wars by crushing anyone strong enough to fight. You eliminate suffering by making sure no one has the power to complain. Captain Morrison stood up slowly. Here's what we propose, Ambassador. We'll join your council, but not as another conquered species grateful for your guidance. We'll join as equals. The words hit Kethril like a physical blow. Equals, but that's not how the system works. Then maybe it's time to change the system, Dr. Carter said calmly. We want to meet with representatives from every member world, not your hand-picked ambassadors, but real citizens who can speak freely about their experiences. We want full disclosure about every species that declined membership and what happened to them afterward, General Hayes added. And we want to establish direct communications with any worlds currently under Council sanctions, Captain Morrison finished. If you're really running a peaceful community, you should have nothing to hide. Kethril stared at the humans in shock. They weren't demanding conquest or tribute. They weren't threatening violence or destruction. They were demanding something far more dangerous to the Council's power structure. They were demanding accountability. And if we refuse, Kethril asked quietly. Captain Morrison smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Then you'll discover that the most dangerous thing about Deathworlders isn't our strength, Ambassador. It's our sense of justice, Dr. Carter added. Softly, we've spent our entire history fighting bullies and tyrants. We're very good at it. As the human delegation prepared to leave, General Hayes paused at the door. Oh, an ambassador. You might want to tell your council that word is already spreading. The oppressed members of your community are starting to hope again. They know that someone finally stood up to you. Some of them have already contacted us directly, Captain Morrison added. It seems your communications security isn't as good as you thought. After the humans left, Kethril sat alone in the reception chamber, staring at the empty chairs. For over 1,000 years, the Council had maintained order through careful control and gentle coercion. They had built a galactic empire disguised as a peaceful community. Now they faced a species that couldn't be controlled, couldn't be intimidated, and worst of all, couldn't be fooled. The galaxy would never be the same again.